We got Marinate F stat.
A man who needs multiple women is unhappy with himself. Wanting that kind of attention feeds his ego and is just a distraction to cover up all of his insecurities. A real man doesn't need more than one woman.
So the amount of projection here is insane. We've seen it over and over and over again. Just another one of thousands, if not millions of examples of this, of course, right? I hate to break it to you, but every man that's honest to himself wants multiple women. It's sort of this unflattering reality where that's just the way we're biologically designed. We're always going to find women attractive. We're always going to want new women. Now, I'm not talking about the morality aspect of it. I'm not talking about what we should or shouldn't do depending on societal variables or religious variables. I'm going to stay out of that for now. I'm just saying that the impulse is always going to be there. I think the main issue, of course, with this video is we're always talking about men and men's impulses, but we don't really ever consider female impulses. Female impulses are very, very prevalent in society. There's not really that much shame towards them, to be honest. They're all over the place. Right now, for whatever reason, men are the ones that are being shamed. Men are the ones that are supposed to control themselves, yet women don't really have to. I think that's the main problem that a lot of guys have. I think most men will agree that it's a good idea for men to control their impulses. Now, if you're a man that can control his impulses and it's your conscious choice to want to have multiple women, what are you really going to say about that? If you're religious, namely Christian, sure, you can criticize that. Outside of those particular boundaries, how can you really criticize it? Liberals, which is approximately 50% of the Western world, they can't really say anything because most of them support something that is all about openness and against religion, or at least against traditionalism. Maybe not fully against religion, but you get my point. So basically, all this really is just projection and shaming language. Let's keep going.
He's going to invest his time into a woman that he sees a future with because he knows that's where real fulfillment comes from. But an insecure.
For you, yes. For you, that's where real fulfillment comes from. Now, obviously, if you're trying to satisfy a particular image or an ideal, then yes, you doing that as a man would also give you fulfillment. Once again, enter religion. If you're not bound by religion, I don't really see what the issue is. Fulfillment now becomes very, very subjective, doesn't it? Keep in mind, obviously, I'm playing a little bit of devil's advocate here. I'm not necessarily revealing what my own views are on this because I'm trying to take a outside perspective. I'm trying to remove the construct of morality here since everybody seems to think it's subjective. So if it is subjective, why do you care so much if one person wants to have multiple wives or not? What I'm essentially doing is calling out the obvious cognitive dissonance that everybody in society buys into. Let's keep going.
Your man is going to play games and toy around with women's emotions, not giving.
Once again, this is just her unable to accept the reality that men want multiple women. It's an innate desire that all of us have. Now, a lot of guys might come forward and say, oh, that's not true. I only want one woman. When they do this, they're mainly protecting their own idealism. It's not that they don't want more women. It's just that they can't declare that because it conflicts with their idealism. They also can't virtue signal as easily if they admit the truth, so they decide to hide behind the lie. Now, me personally, I do think you can be honest while still attempting to live an idealistic life. What you often find, though, is that guys aren't honest and then they do a horrible job living that idealistic life. I don't really see the point in this, but let's continue.
A single care about the damage that he's doing to that poor girl.
If he's being honest and upfront, is he still doing damage?
All because he cares about his own validation.
It's not so much about validation as it is about principle. A lot of guys that have worked really hard and got to a certain level that have seen the way the world works, it's not that they want the validation. They want it out of principle. The principle being this: if a lot of you are going to act very similarly, then why would I just have one? For an idealistic relationship to work, both parties need to buy into the same ideal. What you'll typically find nowadays is that guys will buy into the ideal, but girls will selectively buy into the ideal as it serves them. Guys that reach a certain point understand this because they've seen it so many times over and over, and now they decide, well, what's the point? I'm not saying I like this mentality, but for me to sit here and pretend like I don't understand it would be a lie. Let's continue.
And boosting his self-esteem. But just remember, there's no amount of attention that will be enough for a man who doesn't feel whole inside.
I do have to point out the irony of her talking about men not feeling whole inside while she's spending 20 seconds straight putting on lipstick to appear a certain way to the outside world. If you truly felt so whole, why would you need to put on that much lipstick to feel good about yourself? Make it make sense, guys. If you like this video, like and subscribe. Don't forget to check my links in the description below.